8 incursions, 72 hours, bulldozers redraw lines where ceasefires once stood. From Mashara to Quneitra, a fait accompli takes shape under drones and flares. Flags rise, checkpoints tighten, silence follows. This isn't a patrol, it's positioning. So the question is this security or a new border being written? Israeli military operations have intensified sharply in southern Syria, with multiple ground incursions reported across Daraa and Quneitra over the past 3 days. According to the Syrian Arab news agency on April 28th, Israeli forces advanced into the village of Mashara in the Yarmouk Basin, deploying a convoy of around 20 military vehicles. The forces reportedly conducted patrols under drone surveillance before withdrawing. Parallel reporting from the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights indicates a broader escalation. The group documented 8 separate incursions in just 72 hours, describing the activity as intense and unprecedented, aimed at imposing a fait accompli across southern border regions. Operations included the deployment of heavy machinery and bulldozers in eastern Tal al-Ahmar, in Quneitra, where Israeli forces reportedly constructed earthen barriers, established observation points, and raised the Israeli flag over elevated terrain overlooking western Daraa. Israeli units also set up temporary checkpoints in Mashara village and along the Al-Samdaniya, Al-Sharqiya road, where civilians were subjected to inspections. Raids were carried out on more than 7 homes in Jubata al-Khashab, alongside the reported targeting of a local quarry. The observatory further reported at least 3 arrests, including a young man from al-Athamin, who was allegedly taken to an unknown location inside Israeli-controlled territory. Aerial surveillance has intensified in parallel, with reconnaissance aircraft and drones operating continuously over the region, alongside the deployment of illumination flares across Yarmouk Basin villages. In a separate development on April 22nd, the observatory reported that Israeli settlers crossed into Syrian territory near Hada in Qunetra's northern countryside. The developments are unfolding amid what monitors describe as continued violations of Syrian sovereignty, including incursions into the UN-monitored buffer zone established under the 1974 Disengagement Agreement. UNDOF forces have faced criticism for failing to intervene.
The Israeli military is working to repurpose abandoned Syrian military sites into technologically equipped positions, as part of efforts to entrench its occupation and consolidate a new reality on Syrian territory.
The escalation signals a shifting ground dynamic along Israel's northern frontier, with potential implications for regional stability. Dozens of right-wing Israeli settlers crossed into Syrian territory from the Golan Heights this week, triggering arrests and condemnation from the Israeli military. Members of the Hashan Pioneers movement breached an old border fence near Maidal Shams and entered the Israeli-controlled buffer zone, advancing toward the Druze village of Khadr at the foot of Mount Hermon. Footage from the scene showed settlers waving Israeli flags in front of Israeli Defense Forces personnel before being detained. According to the IDF, around 40 civilians crossed several hundred meters into Syrian territory before forces intervened.
A short time ago, about 40 Israeli citizens gathered near the border fence with Syria. After a few minutes, they crossed the fence and moved hundreds of meters into Syrian territory. An IDF force operating at the point returned all the citizens to the country's territory and arrested them at the point. The citizens who were arrested were transferred to the Israel police for further processing. The IDF strongly condemns the incident and emphasizes that this is a serious incident that constitutes a criminal offense that endangers civilians and IDF forces.
The settlers, however, defended their actions, calling for expanded civilian settlement in the contested region.
Without civilian settlement, even the military holdout will not last long. We are here until they allow the nuclear families of the Pioneers of Bashan movement to enter and live here. Help them and all of us.
The movement, formed after the collapse of the Assad regime and shifting border dynamics, advocates for Jewish settlement across the historic Bashan region and Mount Hermon. Some supporters framed the move as rooted in historical claims.
The entire Bashan region has been an integral part of the land of Israel for generations. It is an area that was conquered by Moses.
The Hashan Pioneers movement, which is leading the initiative, said settlement expansion would contribute to regional stability.
The settlement in the entire Bashan is a natural continuation of settlement in the Golan, and it will help stabilize the region, strengthen Israel's security, and realize our historical right to the lands that were lost to us.
The incident marks the latest in a series of similar incursions by the group, some of which have led to clashes with Israeli forces. As tensions persist along the Syria-Israel frontier, the breach highlights a growing friction between activist agendas and military control, raising concerns over escalation in an already volatile border zone.
A diplomatic opening just cracked between two enemies who've spent decades at war. Israel and Syria agreed to establish a new mechanism aimed at easing tensions, improving communication, and exploring limited cooperation after 2 days of talks in Paris under US supervision. But here's the catch. Syria says it won't happen without Israel pulling back from occupied territory. Israel hasn't confirmed that part. According to a joint statement released by Washington on January 6th, the agreement was reached on the second day of discussions and focuses on de-escalation, diplomacy, and potential commercial engagement. The talks, which began on January 5th and were the first in nearly 2 months, resulted in the creation of what officials described as a joint fusion mechanism. This includes a dedicated communication cell designed to allow immediate and ongoing coordination on intelligence sharing, military de-escalation, diplomatic engagement, and commercial opportunities, all under US oversight. The mechanism is also intended to provide a rapid channel for resolving disputes. The statement said discussions centered on respect for Syria's sovereignty and stability, Israel's security, and the pursuit of prosperity for both countries. Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to working towards lasting security and stability arrangements. The United States welcomed the agreement, calling it a positive step and reaffirming its support for implementing the understandings as part of broader efforts to achieve durable peace in the Middle East.
The United States commends these positive steps and remains committed to supporting the implementation of these understandings as part of broader efforts to achieve enduring peace in the Middle East. When sovereign nations cooperate in a respectful and productive way, prosperity will be unleashed.
Israel and Syria have held intermittent talks over the past year, seeking a security arrangement that would halt repeated Israeli strikes inside Syria. However, a Syrian official told Reuters that progress on broader strategic issues would be impossible without a clear and enforceable timeline for the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Syrian territory seized since the December 2024 overthrow of former President Bashar al-Assad. The official said the talks concluded with an initiative to suspend Israeli military activity, a claim not confirmed by Israel. Israel has illegally occupied areas of the Syrian Golan Heights since 1967, but expanded further into Syrian territory in the past year, including the seizure of the strategic Jabal al-Sheikh, a mountain that lies between Israel and Syria. Israel has also conducted numerous attacks, including on the Syrian Ministry of Defense building in Damascus. The Israelis have attempted to paint the new Syrian authorities, led by President Ahmed al-Sharaa, as an extremist force despite overt backing for the Syrian leader from US President Donald Trump. That US support has put Israel under some pressure to reach a deal with Syria, although a comprehensive agreement does not appear to be imminent.